Hello everyone, I am Nisha, Project Manager of Impact Exhibition Management. Together with Informa Markets, we are organizing Medlab Asia and Asia Health Exhibition in Thailand on 28th to 30th of October, which includes scientific conference that covers several healthcare facilities, including medical laboratory, general healthcare, and hospital management. This is a list of 15 conference tracks that we will run in our show, while business matching service is also available for all exhibitors. Being the business platform for medical and healthcare industry, we will also conduct a webinar series to update business companies with the latest trend, policy and regulations in the medical markets. You will gain deeper knowledge and further understanding in Thai markets. So today, we will have our first episode, which is the investment support and opportunities in the medical industry and technologies in medical devices. Let me introduce to you our speakers today from Board of Investment to deliver a talk on investment support and opportunities in medical industry. Ms. Sonklin Ploymee, Director of Industrial Linkage Development Division. And next, Ms. Kritsana Saeheng, Investment Promotion Officer, Professional Level, Investment Promotion Division 1. Next, Mr. Krit Kunplin, CEO of Zignature Robotics, to talk about technology in medical industry with the topic of the using of Cyberdyne or Rehabilitation Cyborg in treating paralysis patients. So let's start with the first topic, investment support in Thailand with Ms. Sonklin Ploymee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sonklin Ploymee, the Director of Industrial Linkage Development Division from Thailand Board of Investment. May I take a good opportunity today to introduce the service of BOI to support the Thai part maker to be connected with the big buyer in the country, to create the trading and sourcing opportunity for the Thai suppliers. This the service that support the SME of BOI is Take Care by Bill. Some of you may have heard about Bill because it's established for more than 20 years since the first wave of automotive industry transferred the production from Japan to Thailand. What Bill have done in the past, we know that the most important factor for making decision on purchasing is information. So Bill prepare the database and information of the Thai part maker. We collect information of the Thai maker. Now we have more than 10,000 part maker in our database. When the database is ready, the buyer and supplier can utilize this database for sourcing. And Bill also provide a sourcing service with free of charge. If you are a buyer, you can send the request to Bill. We have officials to take care and they will study and look for the supplier, the right supplier for you and send you the list of supplier within 15 days. Besides sourcing service, we also arrange many kinds of activity, many kinds of linkage activity. For example, business matching activity. We arrange business matching activity many times a year with our counterpart in Thailand and overseas. The one that joins our business matching activity is the real partner, both buyers and suppliers. Another example of the linkage activity is vendor meets customer program, or we call VMC activity. This activity is to bring the Thai suppliers to visit the buyer factory. The supplier can learn production, can learn technology, can learn management from the buyer that they visit. And the most important is The supplier can discuss the sourcing and purchasing policy with the buyer very closely, which it is very hard to access to the buyer, especially the big buyer. We also have another activity that we invite many suppliers, many buyers to participate in the same time in the same event. Some buyers may don't have a plan to buy, some supplier may don't have a plan to sell, but it is the place for them to connect with each other for the business in the future. The seminar also is our agenda. We also arrange seminar many times a year to enhance the knowledge and capacity of the Thai suppliers. You can join our seminar with free of charge as other event. And this is the example that we always arrange with the big buyer. You can see the name of BMW, Toyota, and some of the big motorcycle manufacturer, Honda, Peugeot. This is all the big buyer that arrange activity with us. And this is also the example of the VMC or Vendor Meet Customer program that we bring the supplier to visit the factory. And this is the marketplace that I show you that it is the place to bring many buyer and supplier to participate and discuss their requirement. Another example that we support the SME is to go to join the exhibition that is the sourcing or subcontracting exhibition in many countries, in many potential countries. And normally we will arrange business matching or visit very important organizations at the same time when we bring those suppliers to join the exhibition. Before ending my presentation, I would like to introduce the new normal activity of BILD. Why new normal? Because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we cannot invite many people to join our activity at the same time. So we have to provide a service as an online platform. We provide every activity that we used to arrange is online. So from now on, you can join our activity. For example, online business matching, online VMC, online marketplace, and online seminar. If you are interested to join our event, please contact BILD for more information. Please join our event. It is your benefit. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing investment support information. And next, welcome Ms. Kritsana Saeheng, Investment Promotion Officer, Professional Level, Investment Promotion Division 1, to deliver more detail about the opportunity in the medical industry.
Hello everybody. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for your kind interest and attending this seminar today. My name is Kritsana Saeheng. I'm the Investment Promotion Officer from the Office of the Board of Investment. I'm responsible for promoting investment in the healthcare businesses, which consists of the pharmaceutical industry, medical food, biotechnology, and medical device industry. Regarding to my topic today, investment support and opportunity in medical industry for COVID-19 outbreaks, my presentation today will cover three areas. First is the overall situation of Thailand in medical industry. The second is about the BOI incentive. And the last one, I will present the new measure for the situation of COVID-19 outbreaks. So let me start with the situation of Thailand. When you first think about Thailand, there are many things that come to mind, including temple and rich Thai culture, incredible shopping places, and delicious Thai food. but Thailand has much more to offer for businesses and their investor community. Recently, from the U.S. News and the World Report, Thailand is ranked the first country to start a business in 2020. Thailand has very competitive for investment like the low corporate income tax at 20%, which is the second lowest in Asian regions. Thailand also has a low cost of living. For example, if you have only $20 in your pocket, you still can eat seafood at Thai restaurants. And Thailand has excellent infrastructure such as the electricity system, industrial water, and industrial estate. And if you see on the map, Thailand is a strategic location and market access because Thailand is located in the center of Asian regions, situated close to the world's second largest and the fifth second largest economy, which is China and India. That will make you the competitive logistic cost for trade between both countries by the lowest transporting cost via goods, rail, sea, and road. As a base for business environment, Thailand offers a wide range of benefits and incentives, and Thai government committed to ease the business process for foreign companies to operate in the kingdom. In 2020, World Bank prioritized the ease of doing business. The results show that Thailand is the third Asian and 21st globally. This competitiveness ranking illustrates that the effect of the government's policy and initiative designed to facilitate investment, including reducing paperwork, process, and utilizing digital government systems. The government also simplified the regulation and launched the new scheme of Private-Public Partnership or PPP. These efforts have resulted in these significant improvements in international ranking for ease of doing business. And let me introduce about the fact of medical industry in Thailand. With a solid healthcare infrastructure already in place and an international reputation of its highly skilled medical professionals and international standard medical service, Thailand has become a medical hub not only for ASEAN but also for Asia and beyond. The size of market device in 2019 was around $22 billion, and we forecast that this growth rate would be reached at 8 to 10% each year. And in terms of services, the country has a universal public healthcare system covering most of the people. The number of almost 70 million population in Thailand. Thai healthcare infrastructure includes almost 1,400 hospitals and medical facilities, which is almost 400 private hospitals. And you can trust the treatment standard of Thailand because more than 60 medical facilities are accredited by the Joint Commission International, which enabled Thailand become the fourth highest number of JCI accredited hospitals in the world outside the USA. And Thailand is also the world's fifth biggest medical tourism market, with visitors spend close to $600 million according to the data of World and Travel Tourism Council. And Thailand is among the most prepared countries to cope with the health crisis in the regions. According to Global Health Security Index, Thailand is ranked the 6th country of 195 countries, and we got the score of 73.2 out of 100 points. Thailand is also the Asia #1 and the only one of developing countries that on the world top 10 list. This can be interpreted that Thailand has a robust healthcare capacity, and Thailand also demonstrates the strength of prevention and response capability as seen during this outbreak of COVID-19. Regarding its excellent response to epidemic, Thailand is ready to rebuild the investor confidence and prepare for the flood of investment in the upcoming future. And there are many factors that cause the demand growth in medical market in Thailand. The first one is about the aging society. In relation to the countries in ASEAN, the proportion of citizens aged over 60 is one of the highest in the regions, and it is also forecasted that by 2045, this proportion will exceed that the other regions such as in Europe and USA. And the second factor is about the cost of spending in healthcare. Nowadays, the lifestyle of Thai people is changed a lot. The growth of consumer spending on healthcare goods and medical service in Thailand is greater than the growth of other domestic economy. And there are some demand from the investment in the new hospital because the existing hospital operator, they plan to invest in the new hospital and medical equipment. And the increase of the number of patients, especially for the illness such as the heart disease, stroke, and diabetes that tend to increase in Thailand. And not only the increasing number of Thai patients, more and more tourists come to Thailand for medical treatment. And standard of medical treatment in Thailand is very high. The number of foreign patients in Thailand increased from only 1.7 million in 2010 to 3.4 million in 2018, accounted for almost 9%. And the last important driver is government policies. Thai government promotes investment in medical device sector, such as we have the BOI incentive. We set up a medical fair exhibition every year, and the government intends to establish Thailand as a medical hub and a base for export of medical device. And this is the overall picture of medical industry characteristics. Almost 85% of medical device in Thailand market is supplied by importation, especially for the advanced and high technology device. And local manufacturers produce mostly on consumable healthcare products for export, nearly 80% of their capacity. And in Thailand, we have the Thai Food and Drug Administration, who is the regulator under the Prime Minister of Public Health. Thai FDA design and control the standard of medical device industry. All medical device importer or manufacturer in Thailand need to register and approve by the FDA before you import or sell the product in Thailand. And most of manufacturers in Thailand are small enterprise, and most medical devices produced in Thailand fall into the category of single-use products such as the first aid dressing, surgical glove, examination glove. And Thailand still rely on import products, especially for the medical devices that require the high technology and innovation. And in ASEAN, it's one of the largest medical device markets. Within this region, Thailand is the second largest medical device market because the value of Thailand medical device market as 2019 was around 20.3 billion US dollar. And in terms of export, Thailand has the highest export value in this region. And in terms of the test value, Thailand test value has been rising in both import and export. Thailand export value jumped from 6,000 million US dollar in 2018 to 7,000 million US dollar in 2019. This accounted for 8% growth. Moreover, Thailand import also escalated from 15.5 million US dollar in 2018 to almost 7,000 million US dollar in 2018. This figure proves that the Thai market size of medical device is growing. And if we look some of the detail about the group of Thai medical devices are imported and exported, Thailand most import on the durable on S1 item like the CT scan, X-ray machines, which is the largest proportion, around 43%. And Thailand also imported the single-use item that we have less or no production, like the coverall suits that made around 40%. And in terms of export, a single product like the medical glove, but tubing line and first aid dressing are the main products that to be export more than 80%. Taking this information of Thailand and ASEAN into consideration, medical devices are an investment opportunity because Thailand and ASEAN still rely on imports and have the very big value that import from other regions. And if we go focus on the trade partner in medical sector, you can see that China, USA, Japan, Germany, and Netherlands are the 5 biggest countries that Thailand trade with. You will see that all of our significant trade partners are the most developed country and the big consumer of the world. And this slide shows the example of multinational medical device company that already invest in Thailand. For example, the Japanese company like Nipro, who producing the needle and saline, and Mitsuho supply the innovative surgical desk worldwide. And for Canadian company like the Cardinal Healthcare, they produce medical glove. Essilor, which is a French company, invest in optical lens. So it is evident that Thailand also is the one of the best destinations for investing in medical industry. And this part, I will give you a brief to know about who is the BOI and what we do. BOI is the government agency under the office of the Prime Minister. We setting up more than 60 years. Our mission is to promote investment of Thailand economic and industrial development by granting incentive to investors. And BOI also provide comprehensive information and advice for investors like this seminar today. And we can coordinate between the foreign business community and other public agencies. And to explain more about the BOI incentive, which can be divided into tax and non-tax incentive. Tax incentive consists of the exemption or reduction of corporate income tax, exemption on import duty on machinery, reduction of import duty on raw materials, and the exemption of import duty on R&D materials. For non-tax incentives, it's like a kind of facilitation for doing business in Thailand. For example, BOI can allow the company to be 100% foreign shareholder in manufacturing and some service businesses. And BOI also provide the visa, work permit, and we waive the restriction on land ownership. This is a summary of BOI incentive scheme. The standard package consists of 2 options. First one is called activity-based incentive. This corporate income tax can be exempt up to 8 years depending on the products. Another group is called the technology-based incentive, which is designed for the business that utilize the core technology like the biotechnology, digital technology, nanotechnology, and advanced material technology in the project. And that project must have the cooperation or technology transfer with the Thai institute. This type can be received the corporate income tax exemption start at 10 years. And moreover, the standard package can be granted the additional exemption of corporate income tax for a maximum of 3 years. But that project must have the further activity like have the expenditure in R&D or the product design, and we call this criteria as a merit-based incentive. Besides of this, that project, if project located in some targeted area like 3 provinces in Eastern Economic Corridor or 10 provinces in Special Economic Zone, they can get the special incentive package depending on the government policy or special measure at that time. And this is the overall standard package offered by the BOI under the product-based incentive. The BOI provides the exemption of corporate income tax as shown on the slide, depending on your business. For example, for the project that conduct the biologic substance, this is the targeted activity of the BOI, so we provide the incentive of corporate income tax exemption for 8 years without the limitation of budget. But the other category, if we focus on the CIT, they can get the range of CIT from 0 to 8%. And for the Group B is an activity that can get BOI promoted but will not be granted the exemption of corporate income tax. The criteria for how many years of CIT exemption can be granted for each business are based on the level of technology or the linkage in the supply chain of that product. In addition, the promoted business will be granted the exemption of import duty for machinery and raw material for export production and also get the non-tax incentive. And this slide shows the incentive for medical device industry. The incentives start from Group A1 to A4, depending on the type of medical device that you will be produced in Thailand. For example, if you set up the manufacturing of surgical masks, is in the manufacture of medical device made from fabric and classified in A4 group. So this surgical mask project can get corporate income tax exemption for 3 years. Moreover, BOIs also promote the pharmaceutical industry to fulfill the healthcare system in Thailand. The API manufacturer can enjoy of 8 years for corporate income tax exemption, and also the manufacturer of medicines, including both traditional and conventional medicine, can enjoy the 5 years of corporate income tax exemption. And this is the last topic about the update of the latest measure to support the situation of COVID-19 outbreaks. And nowadays, you can see that the virus outbreak around the world have changed our lifestyle a lot. For example, we must to wear a face mask all the time when we go outside. We have to wash clean more often. And many governments around the world have announced a measure to control the physical distancing. All of these affected to the general public, business size, and also ourselves to procure many types of personal protection equipment and many medical equipment. And this is the list of examples of medical device which is US FDA recommend that all patients and healthcare providers are supposed to access all. All of these medical devices are used to diagnose, prevent, and treat the pandemic, such as the diagnostic test kit, ventilator, and personal protection equipment, including surgical masks, face shield, respirator, gown, and glove. And moreover, from the WHO has estimated that the demand for this medical device, they said that every month in the world needs 30 million gowns, 76 million medical gloves, or almost 90 million surgical masks. So to cope with this, the shortage of medical device supply, BOI have launched the new special measure to support the production of this device and its raw materials. This measure consists of a long-term and short-term policy. For a long-term policy, BOI has revised the incentive granted for the production of raw material, including non-woven fabric such as the melt-blown and spun-borne non-woven that is used for a raw material for surgical masks and medical device. This activity can be get the exemption of corporate income tax for 5 years. And nowadays in Thailand, there is only one manufacturer of melt-blown non-woven. So we have a limited raw material supply in medical industry. On the other hand, the demand of non-woven is around 2,000 tons per year. So if the investor set up the non-woven fabric in Thailand now, you can have a robust demand domestically and possible for export to the 10 countries in ASEAN. And this is for a short-term measure. BOI has announced a measure to accelerate investment in medical industry to cope with COVID-19 situation. This measure is intended to stimulate the production of medical industry such as the medical device, vaccine, pharmaceuticals, test kits, and a raw material for medical device to support the outbreak of COVID-19. This package provides the additional 50% corporate income tax reduction for another 3 years on top on the standard package of each product. But the condition for this package including 3 criteria. The first one, investor must apply for the BOI within June this year. Second, investors have to start the production and start selling their products by the end of this year. And the last condition, that product must be sold or donated in Thailand not less than 50% of total sales in 2020 and 2021. And regarding to the amendment of many regulations in medical industry, our government recognizes that the challenge in the next era of the medical industry. So we need to enhance Thailand's capability to meet the global standard and increase the competitiveness of the industry. So Thai FDA, on behalf of the Ministry of Public Health, has signed the MOU to establish the Medical Product Consortium of Thailand to support medical industry along its supply chain. And in order to eliminate all obstacles or problems of doing business in Thailand, BOI we also to please to be the coordinator for this agency to the investor. So this is my last minute, but in case you need further information, you can visit our BOI website by scanning this QR code, or you can contact us at the BOI office. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you for further information from medical business investment. And next, welcome Mr. Krit Kunplin, CEO of Zignature Robotics, to talk about technology in medical.
Thank you, Kunisha, for your kind introduction. I'm Krit Kunplin, CEO of Zignature Robotics. And Zignature Robotics is the representative of Cyberdyne Inc. Japan in Thailand. And what Cyberdyne do is that Cyberdyne is a global company supplying the high technologies of Cyborg system to rehabilitate the people or patients that are unable to walk or move to be able to walk or move again. So we supply the best technology, best Cyborg to the Thai medical communities in hope and in the best intention to improve the livelihood of the patients that are unable to walk or move by themselves. We would like to make them move or walk by our Cyborg system. So let me introduce our Cyborg system, the Cyberdyne Cyborg. We call our system as HALL, and HALL represents the word hybrid assistive limb. And the hybrid represents two meanings. One, it is the cybernetic voluntary control, in which the patients or the people control the robot by using the brain signal of the patients. And then two, it is also a cybernetic autonomous control, in which the robot moves by the robot or move by the functional remote control of the robot. So the main distinction of this cybernetic system or the Cyborg system is that human control the robot, not the robot control the human. So this is our main distinction. The company established almost 25 years ago by Dr. Yoshisuke Sankai, and Dr. Sankai teach at University of Tsukuba, and then he began to establish Cyberdyne companies to build the best cyborg to help the paralysis patients to be able to walk or move by their own intention again. The company supplied the Cyborg system to many countries. For example, to Germany, to Poland, to Italy, to Saudi Arabia, to the US, to the Brooks Cybernetic Treatment Control Center in Florida, and also to Seattle. And now we have our center in Hawaii as well. In Southeast Asia, we supply to Malaysia, and now we come to Thailand. And in Thailand and in many countries, we were able to introduce our system to many global leaders. For example, to the German Chancellor, to Prime Minister Abe of Japan. And in Thailand, we also introduced to the Thai Prime Minister as well. So we have been able to introduce our system to the global leaders as well as to the leading medical staff as well. In Thailand, we introduced our system last year in March, and then there were many leading doctors from many institutions joining our event. So the event was very successful, attended by many patients, and there were well-known patients or the wheelchair patients that came to our seminars. For example, we had Kritsana attending our seminar as well. So our intention to be in Thailand is to help the patients that are paralysis or unable to move by themselves to be able to dependent by themselves or move by themselves again. And that is our philosophy of being in Thailand right here. Our machine is so-called the 5.0 machine. So let me briefly tell you why our machine is the 5.0 machine. When we talk about the 4.0 society, we talk about the society that we human use the Internet of Things equipment, and the Internet of equipment and the Internet of Things is that the equipment can send the signal to us, but the society 5.0 we also send the signal to the machine, so it becomes an interlinkage between man and machine. Machine send signal, and also we human send the signal by our brain to the machine as well. So it becomes interlinkage. So that's why our equipment is not the Internet of Things, but it is also the Human of Internet, or HOI, the interlinkage between man and machine. So this is our great distinction. And then why we introduce the Cyborg system into the Thai society. To understand this, we have to look into the situation in Thailand. The situation in Thailand is that in about 1 or 2 years from now, we will have about 20% of our population will become senior citizens, or more than 60 years old citizens. And many of them will be able to move by their own intention. Many of them will suffer some of the disease. What disease? So I will tell you about the situation in Thailand about the disease. One, in Thailand, we have many or big numbers of spinal cord injuries. In Sonklin or in International New Year's of every year, Thailand suffer a lot of road accident, and the road accident cause a lot of people to become paralysis or become not able to move by their own intention. And each year, we by statistic, we have about 112,000 new patients that become suffer by the spinal cord injuries. So our equipment try to improve the livelihood of the spinal cord injury patients to be able to move by themselves again. Secondly, in Thailand, the cause of death has become strokes, and each year we have more than 250,000 new stroke cases in Thailand. Very big number, and many of them were unfortunate that they cannot have the good livelihood anymore, and many of them still survive, but unable to move or become paralysis. So our machine intends to help the paralysis patient from stroke to be able to depend on themselves again. So this is the key of our machine. And next, we have a lot of patients. The number is not a lot. It is about 1,000 to 1,750 cases per year. But these patients need a better living, and our equipment can be able to help them to be able to walk or depend on themselves again. So let me now talk about how we apply our product or our equipment or our device to the patients. So I will talk about first the lower limb type, then I'll talk about lumbar type, and then I'll talk about our single joint type. We have all joint, from the wrist, from the ankle to the elbow. We have every joint. And then we introduce this joint to our Prime Minister. And the key distinction of our machine to other robots is that we are cyborg. And the cyborg means that the human send the brain signal to the machine, and then human also get the biofeedback. So it becomes the communication between the man and the machine, seamlessly working together to improve the function of the motor function of the patients. So that is the key distinctions. And the principle of operation, basically, when the patient use the cyborg, first of all, the patient have to think of moving, think of walking, think of moving the elbows, the wrist, or any parts that the patient has a problem or unable to move. And from thinking, the patient send the signal. And normally, the signal pass through the spinal cord, through the nerves, and then send the signal, and then the legs or the hands will be able to move. But the patient who suffers strokes or spinal cord injuries, the way of communication has become damaged or cut off. So when the patient sent the signal couldn't reach the hands or couldn't reach the leg, so the leg or the hands were unable to move. So we have the robot to receive the brain signal, and the robot learns from the signal and then interpret the signal. So the robot helps the patient to move their own parts or bodies again. And after the patient were able to move, then the patient sent back the bioelectrical signal back to the brain of the patient. So it becomes a relearning process. The relearning process between human send the signal, and then the brain again relearn that parts of the body moves again. So it becomes the process of relearning. And then the patient could be able to move their parts of the body that has a problem again. So that is the main function of our system. So for the cases, I will begin with the stroke. In the stroke patient, first of all, in every patient, the key is the brain signal. So we have to find the brain signal first. In the patient that suffered for a long time, we need time to find the brain signal of the patients. So each patient requires the time differently. In normal people, normally when we attach and find the brain signal, the machine knows the brain signal immediately. But for some patients, maybe it requires 20 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours, depends on the patient. So I will first talk about the patient of 85 years old. He suffered the second stroke. And then you see from the slide, at the beginning, when we try to help him move his leg or we try to find the signal, we couldn't find anymore. And so the machine didn't move. And as we try to find the brain signal, and then we ask the patient to think with us, then we get the brain signal slightly from the patients. And then after a certain time of treatment, then the patient could be able to move by his own intention again. So you see how it works.
すごい。これだけでも筋力つくし痩せるから。
Now you see that the patient moved by his own intention again. And then on the process, we also train him with the low limb type so that he relearn how to walk. And after the relearning, he becomes independent again. And now I'll move to the stroke case in Thailand. She was the first patient who used the Cyborg system to restore her moving ability. She suffered the stroke, and then her left part was unable to move. The neurosurgeon suggests that by traditional ways of rehabilitation, her moving function would be restored in about 6 months. And then he also recommends the patient to try the Cyborg. And it appears that it took her only 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks and a half to restore her moving abilities again. So you see, in the beginning, her left part couldn't move. So we used the robot to help her move again. We also strengthened her trunk so she could be able to stand up and then move by her own intention. So I will let you see. This slide, you will see that the patient moved the robot, not robot or the cyborg moved the patient. So it comes from the intention of the patient that moved the robot. So patient think legs move, and when the legs move, it gets the biofeedback back to the brain of the patient. So it becomes the working of the patient. And in this loop, patient relearn how to move themselves or move her leg again. So she got treated within 2.5 weeks. Next slide. We also trained her trunk. So she is able to sit or stand by her own intention with a natural gait of standing. Excuse me. And then this was the first time that she could be able to move by her intention again. แล้วก็มาถึงวันนี้4 ครั้งที่บ้านด้วยเป็น5 ครั้งได้ไหมครับ5 ครั้งขยับจากเดิมทีขยับไม่ได้เลยไหนครับเราขยับให้ดูเลยครับเตะได้แล้วครับเตะด้วยตัวเองเรียบร้อยเดี๋ยวจะฝึกเดินนะครับโอเคครับเป็นไงบ้างครับความรู้สึกตอนนี้นี่ครับ and after she is able to move by we had her walk by herself. And after she is able to walk by herself, then we use the Cyborg to help her and assist her to adjust the gait system so that she can walk naturally. And next we have the patient from Japan. The patient suffered from the stroke and he could not be able to move his arms for 18 years. And then we use the Cyborg to restore his moving abilities of the arms for 3 months. And after 3 months, he could be able to use his arms again. So now he can extend his arms by his own intention. Now I move to the spinal cord injury patients. And this patient is published in Neurology. And the patient was 34 years old man from Germany, suffered from the spinal cord injury at T10. And then we began to use the Cyborg to treat the patients at 77 days after the trauma. And then we applied the Cyborg to help him for 12 weeks. At the beginning, he came to us with the score spinal cord injury score of 8. When we finished the training for 12 weeks, the score was 18, so dramatically improved. And also the patient could be able to depend on himself again. So you see. From the slide, we used the robot, and then we took the Cyborg out, and then we let the patients to walk by himself. So you see the before using the Cyborg and after, only 12 weeks, and the improvement was dramatic. So you see a lot of improvement. And then we also use the Cyborg to restore the efficiency of the movement of the elderly patients. In this case, we had the patients to exercise in each exercise for 5 minutes, and total of 20 minutes per day. This same patient, you see, when he first came to us, you try to notice his walking ability. And then 1 month passed with the training of the Cyborg, you see a lot of differences. And that was how we restored the elderly function of the movement. And then we also had other devices, the wrist, the ankle. We also had the shoulder. And the shoulders of some patients couldn't be able to move efficiently. Some patients can move the shoulder only at this level. So our system restored the function so that the patient can move naturally. Also, we had a machine that improved the movement of the wrist and the ankle. I will show you how to use it. This is for the ankle. No, this is for the wrist. That was for the wrist, and this is for the ankle. For the patient that ankle couldn't move because of the stroke or spinal injury, we had a system so the patient can move their ankle. So the patient will have the natural gaits of walking. And from this slide, the N is 203 patients, all strokes, beginning with the traditional physical therapy. And the traditional therapy apply for about 100 days. And you can see from the statistic at the day of 70 until the day of the 100, the statistic become flat. And after the improvement become flat, we bring the whole system to intervene. And from the day of the 100 until the day of the 160, for 60 days, you see a dramatic improvement of the patient. So the statistic of improvement is very significant. And the whole help patients to be able to improve their movement abilities again. This one is a stroke patient. You will see that the patients had the traditional therapy for 6 months. And from 6 months, the patient came to us, and then we used the machine for 1 hour, and then you see the differences between the patients that had the traditional way of rehabilitation, came to us 1 hour, and then we see the result. The patient moved faster with a better gait. And this one with the extension of her leg. You will see the before and after.
落ちるうちにグッと膝をこう押し付けるイメージで、おお、いいですね。
Yes, that was a lot of improvement. We had our system worldwide. In Germany, we have in Bochum. In the States, USA, we had in Hawaii, in Florida, and then we also had in Washington States. And elsewhere in the world, we have in Poland, in Saudi Arabia, in Malaysia, Indonesia, and now we are in Thailand. I would like to conclude everything with this slide, and then the video will tell the whole story of the patient that have been treated with us worldwide, and also about our philosophy and vision and our intention to improve the livelihood of the paralysis patient to be able to depend on themselves again.
Why was HAL developed? Our physical and cerebral nervous system functions steadily decline with age. I wanted to try to provide assistance with technology which could enable more people to lead healthy lives. Cyberdyne treatment doesn't strengthen muscles. Instead, it improves connections within the nervous system.
When a person intends to move a limb, the brain sends signals through the spinal cord and the nerve cells to the muscles. Information of the limb's movement returns to the brain from the sensory signal during the motion. Such network loops of signals help maintain the brain's healthy condition. But sickness or injury can damage this network loop, resulting in difficulties moving. Even for a person with a disability, signals sent from the brain to the muscles leaks onto the skin surface as a very faint signal. We installed innovative sensors on HAL, which could read and analyze the signal so that the robot could be controlled voluntarily by the wearer's intention. What's important is the neural loop between the brain and the other parts of the body. Repeated exchange of the signals will reinforce the synaptic connections and drive relearning. Cyberdyne treatment improves and regenerates the physical function of the patients who suffer from disease, such as neuromuscular disease.
We treated now about 100 patients with spinal cord injuries with the HAL robot suit system. And we see dramatic changes in their ability to move again. We see in some patients also some improvement of their pain. We see improvements of their sensory, which is very important to prevent pressure ulcers. And in some patients, we also see changes in their urinary function.
We see cybernetics as a technology we can live together with, assisting us like a friend. We live in an aging society. Japan sees this as a new industry, where we can provide solutions with new technologies. I believe that these innovations will greatly contribute to the world as we shift into the next society, Society 5.0.
Thank you for your kind attention, and I look forward to see everyone at Medlab Asia and Asia Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krit, for this knowledge in medical technology. I hope this webinar today benefits you very well, and we will look forward to welcome you again in our next webinar on 25th June. If you have any inquiries, please leave your message in chat box or email me at nichaa@impact.co.th. Thank you.